The Founders Table. I'm your founder. Today we're talking to Buddha Blaze. He's another creative industry professional working in Nairobi. Nairobi is blowing up at the moment, and not just Nairobi, but interesting Kenya. And there would be no one better to discuss this with than Buddha Blaze, who has an extensive industry background in Africa. All right, good morning, Mr. Blaze over in
Morning.
Nairobi.
Hey, what's good?
How's it going over there on a Saturday in Nairobi?
Oh, it's sunny and nice. It's beautiful. It's just a nice day out, you know. So I haven't left the house
Nice.
today. Just been working, but I'll definitely be trying to get out in a few once we're done with this. Yeah,
Yeah, you're too busy in the hustle, aren't you?
out here, hustle and bustle. This is what Nairobi's known for, you know.
Right.
Everything
So
is
far,
changing. Everything is changing, so we're having to change with it, you know.
so why don't you let us know a little bit about your background and your industry experience?
Yeah,
It's extensive, by the way. Your resume, it's like 10 pages long.
I know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, which is
It's a good and a
excellent. It's
bad thing.
amazing. No, it's amazing. It's so amazing to have you a part of what we're doing. But yeah, let the audience know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Buddha Blaze. I'm now what they call an artist manager, a connector. I started out as an artist myself.
Welcome to another episode of The Founders Table. I'm your founder. Today we're talking to Buddha Blaze.
But we were trying to do things. There were just no platforms. There was nothing. There was really like it was
Like
basically
for publishing, for distribution.
yeah. I'm talking about like even just performances. Like there was no venue.
Oh,
There was venues, but people,
okay.
yeah, they didn't know how to treat artists. You know, there was no treat. Like
Okay.
I remember
Interesting.
when, I linked up with this group called K South, which was one of the biggest rap group at the time when I moved back
Right.
to Nairobi. And even them, they were just getting treated like crap. Like you'd go, like there was no,
Straight
yeah,
up crap.
yeah. So you'd go to a venue, they haven't even set a backstage for you. They haven't even set, that it was just like
No
really
water. You're not even
unprofessional.
allowed to hydrate.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, let me fix this. So I started fixing it. So I remember we went on tour. Mombasa is the other city, the other big city. So
Right.
I was
Yeah.
really excited because I had never been there. So I was like, wow, we're going to Mombasa. You guys have been in
Right.
perform. So we get there. The promoter is not even talking to them. He's like, go sit over there and wait for me. I'm in another meeting. Not even offering them anything to drink. They're like, where are you guys gonna sleep? Nothing.
Just a total lack of respect.
Yeah, so I woke up and I went and told the guy, hey, listen, these are professionals. They've come
Right.
all the way from
Absolutely.
Nairobi. What's going on?
Right.
Yeah. So really, you can't just be calling people and then leaving. So he they were like, oh my God, how did you do that? Because artists were they were just so submissive to that kind of
Submissive.
situation. Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
They're like, we
Right.
would have
Right.
never done that. We would have, oh my God, can you be our manager? So I was like, oh, this manager thing might work out. So the word started spreading like,
Mm,
yo, you want that guy understands it. You got to go
right.
talk to that guy. So before you know what, I was like, you know what, I don't quite think this music career is gonna work out for me. But what I can get into is managing. So my
Right.
the name the news about me managing spread fast. So I started dealing. I was like, yo, these artists had no bios, they had no websites, they had no nothing. Some of them
Right.
didn't even have an
Right.
email.
Right. Well,
You
yeah,
know?
that was normal back
So
then.
we were like, yeah, listen. It can't work like that. Nobody's gonna take you seriously. You have no email address, you
Mm,
have no bank account. Where are we gonna put your money? Da 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 da.
yeah.
I ended up being the guy that was now creating those platforms
That's awesome.
and putting them. So the magazine that I used to write for was called Fat Magazine. It was actually me and Jeff
Yes.
started it.
Yes.
One of the biggest
Right.
magazines in East Africa, and we took the country by storm. It was the first glossy magazine that was talking about artists in Kenya. So
Yeah.
it was such a bad vibe going on with the media here. It's like they would play everything that was being sent to them from America, you know. So Ricky
Right. No local
Nothing.
representation.
We were like, yo, we'll write an article. So I ended up being a writer, like a prolific writer. I wrote an article where I blasted all the radio stations. Like, I don't want to hear,
Nice.
I don't want to hear
Right.
what underwear Britney Spears is wearing.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Why do I
100%.
care? Why do I care? Why do I care? But see, apparently there's a big group of people that love that stuff. They eat it up, you know. So I'm like,
Right.
yo, but why
Yeah.
don't we start talking about our celebrities? Make them now that because
Right.
she's from LA or whatever that she's from. She's proud. They making her proud. She's proud of where she's from, and those cities are proud of her.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most
But you guys are
definitely.
just taking all the American radio stations. They're modeling everything according to
Mm.
American or British radio stations because that's what they were told.
Mm.
America is better.
Yeah.
Obviously, we must model
Right.
our shit around this shit. If that's how they do it,
Right.
I was like, yeah,
Right.
you can do it the same way, but push your shit.
Yeah. Right.
So we started pushing.
Absolutely.
We started pushing. So now the culture starts coming up, and everybody starts saying, "Oh my lord, there is a culture in Nairobi, and there is this." I remember
Of
media.
course there is. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, they didn't have people propagating for it because musicians were always looked upon as either school dropouts, people who are
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
it was like the thing that you did when you failed to go to university.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
We changed
Right.
that. We changed that because then we were like, yo, but I'm educated. I love this
This
stuff.
is a profession, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we started changing the perceptions. First was to change the perception. The perception was like, all right, cool. You know, these are professionals. These are not just some school dropouts. Even if they are,
Right.
the fact that they have talent,
Right. Right.
we
Right.
will
Right.
respect them. Just like you're a doctor or you're this. So we started having those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
people
That's
like, oh, okay,
interesting.
you do have a point. And then they started looking at like even professionally, like a lot of artists, for example, they didn't know how to get booked. They didn't have an email
Right.
list. They negotiated the deals themselves. They're like, no, don't negotiate the deal yourself. If you go
Mm.
in there with a manager, these people will pay you more respect than if you just
Mm.
go there by yourself to every meeting. You
Mm.
know?
Mm.
We started pushing that. And little entertainment companies started coming up. The business now started getting professionalized. Artists started getting
Right.
money. Artists started
Right.
becoming professionals. And
Right.
you can get booked by this company and this company and this company, and this is how you behave, and this is how you manage your affairs, and this is how you talk to clientele, and this da, 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 da.
It's awesome.
We
Yeah.
did for a good solid 5 years of just really molding the industry,
Wow. Wow.
creating it,
Yeah.
creating management, creating opportunities for them, molding them into brands. Because we were like, you guys are brands. You're not just artists, you know?
Right.
So fast forward
You're
that,
helping them to kind of shape their perception of
that's
themselves
it.
as
That's
a
it.
artist and as a
That's
product in
it.
the market.
In 5 years, we started having some really, big artists, really,
Right.
big artists that were doing really well. Somebody like Nameless, there's people like Prezzo, Red Sun, a lot of artists are
Mm.
now taking the business more seriously,
Yeah.
and also
Right.
Nairobi was starting to rise as an entertainment capital of Africa.
So, you know what I'm interested in? Let's go back to, you said there was a day where there were no platforms, there was no distribution, and there was nowhere to perform. So what were you guys doing? Tell us a bit about what that culture was like. Where were
So,
you guys meet up? Like where were you guys rhyming and like honing
I
your
mean,
skills?
so obviously there was places for rich people. There's always a
Mm,
rich people have their clubs. There's big clubs. So you got to be a
right.
really big artist. You got to be like uh,
Okay.
a Michael Jackson. I think
Wow, right. Okay. Yeah.
all kind of people. So I'm like, well, what about the younger? But what about the younger artists that don't have platforms? Where they're gonna perform?
Right.
They had no places. It would be like maybe one jump session that happens every Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now we started agitating for different spaces to start accommodating younger artists. Because I'm like, yeah, because they were like, nah, this thing they're doing, this hip hop thing, is not gonna flow. It's not gonna, no, no. But
Mm,
now we have millionaire rap artists in Kenya. You know what I mean?
right.
Because at
Yeah.
that time, they just didn't. They were just not believable. They were just not believable.
That's so interesting because, in New York City, obviously, as you know, we all know, the scene was underground for a long time.
Yeah,
And then, it became more of like a New York cultural thing.
yeah.
So, there's a lot of that's the thing is that's a big market, that's a lot of people right there. So you have that many millions of people that are interested in something, it kind of starts to create a balance shift. But I mean, even, throughout the last couple of decades, the underground scene in New York is thriving. People don't care about going to big clubs necessarily. What happens in New York is
if you're interested in finding talented artists, you have to go to those underground parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they kind of shifted the culture in the other way, where they were like, we're not going to come to you. If you want to do this and you want to play with us and you want to work with us, you're going to come to these like grimy little backdoor clubs where they spit and they compete, and these parties are amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, are people doing that in Nairobi?
Yeah, so now that scene now started coming up, you know. Now that started happening. Now that started happening. So the underground scene, we built the underground scene. The underground scene, the underground scene eventually became the mainstream scene, you know, because
exactly.
People were throwing money, sponsors were giving money now. Sprite was spending money, Coca-Cola was spending money. At that time,
you guys get all the really big contracts out there.
There was no youth culture per se. You know, youth culture was seen as those people are wasting time. But now no, this is an industry. This is not a waste of time. We're showing you, like, look at this rapper. He's got money. They're buying cars now. They're buying, you know what I mean? So we started building a case for the entertainment industry, for companies now to pour in money. So now there's no way any company's launching anything without entertainment now. You know, there's no way. Alcohol companies, Coca-Cola's, Fanta. I run the biggest music platform here in Kenya, called in Africa actually, called Coke Studio Africa.
Right. Yes.
I'm the one to run that. I run that. You know.
Yeah. So, tell us about that.
So years later, so I was doing stuff. So I'm moving around the continent. I'm like, one of my biggest dreams, because my father was a diplomat, right? So I grew up out of Kenya, right?
Right.
And so whenever I'll be like in the States or Canada or whatever, people will always like, how's Africa? I'm like, actually, I don't know, man. I'm from one country. You know what I mean? I don't know Africa. So one of my biggest dreams was like, man, when I get back, when I get my own money and I get back to Africa, I get back to Kenya, I want to go to every African country, you know? So I started around Tanzania, Uganda. So the first thing I did, my first trip out of Kenya was I went to watch Lucky Dube, who was the biggest reggae artist in Africa, you've heard of Lucky Dube, closer to Bob Marley?
Right, okay. So,
yes, I ended up interviewing him later, but as a journalist. But that was one of my first trips. I went to Uganda for his concert because I loved him. You know, he was closer to Bob Marley, like as far as he sold millions of records. One of the biggest artists to ever come out of South Africa, Lucky Dube, rest in peace. He shot one of his I went to Uganda to just see the scene over there. I was like, whoa, this is so explosive, because, you know, when you're African, but you haven't grown up in Africa, you just want to see the continent and enjoy.
Oh, but it's the same over here, you know? It's a huge country. I mean, there's tons of people that haven't left their coast or their city or their state. For sure.
But having already grown up as a traveler, my family is traveling from this country.
Yeah.
You know, you get posted 5 years here, 5 years here. So I went to school with pretty much everybody. I went to school with African Americans. I went to school with Ugandans. I went to school with Ghanaians. I went to school because all the different kids go to these international schools. International school, I'm friends with everybody, you know?
Right, yeah.
I kind of take little bits of different cultures, you know? I know a little bit about Ghana, I know a little bit about Nigeria, but now I was like, I've never been there. I need to go there. So that was one of my biggest things. Is like, I love traveling, and I think I wanted to do a travel show, and I don't know how that went. Anyway, so I'm moving around the continent. The magazine is blowing up. We're in South Africa. We're in Tanzania. It's basically feeding into all the purpose that I have. My purpose was to always educate and always show love and show peace,
that's right.
and spread the gospel of peace. So I remember I went out to India some time back when I was younger. So that's where the name Buddha Blaze comes from, because I was sitting up there with the Buddhist sadhus, because I was into Buddhism. So I was peace. Peace is my nature. I love peace, and I love to exude peace and to pass peace and to pass progress, and that's just really my background. So as we started doing that, we started getting a lot of attention from different companies, Coca-Cola, and what's going on, and the music is growing. Remember, the music is growing, artists are making money, the industry is growing. There's an industry, not industry. I'll say there's a scene, there's a sector, maybe worth couple of billions of dollars, you know, not too many like the American ones, but there's something going on. There's advertising.
Right.
Advertising is using artists onto their platforms. We got
Right.
advertising budgets is pretty much where all the artists make money. Yes, you make money from shows, but the biggest thing that you want is that endorsement of a company say, cool, we're running a campaign for 2 years.
Right.
You're going to be the face of the campaign. That's where the big check
Right.
comes from, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that starts
Yes.
happening. So that starts happening. And then you got to understand that the way it works is you got to create scenarios. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
Scenarios.
Like, for example, Coca-Cola is the biggest drink company in Africa, right?
Mm.
But then there's also Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
So Pepsi, at one time, tried to make a run to come into Kenya. Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
That's when Coca-Cola pulled out all their budgets. We got to kill these guys.
Okay. Right.
Pepsi is big in Nigeria and I think Tanzania, but they had never really been big in Kenya. They never really had a headquarters or an office here, never really went in and did market. So when they were doing in Nigeria, they led the music path.
Okay, interesting.
So Coca-Cola saw, if these guys come to Kenya, we're dead because they're gonna go with the youth culture. They're gonna take over the music angle, whatever. We are fucked. So they were like, Blaze, come
Right.
here, Blaze, come. Please create something on here because they're smelling that these guys are coming.
Yeah.
These
Right.
companies spend money. They only spend money when they know, okay, their competitor is doing some other crazy shit. You know, they never really spend money on a good day. They spend money when the competitor. So if
when the pressure's on.
that's it. So all these companies started coming here, and the good thing is the African middle class was also growing. So everybody's coming here. Heineken is here. Oh, what is
Okay.
everybody's coming into Africa? Hey, well, dude, the last 10 years has been, this company is headquartered here. Samsung is headquartered here.
Yes.
All these
Right.
companies are running to Nairobi.
Right.
And Nairobi is a central focal. It's one of the peaceful countries in Africa.
Right. It's more stable than the surrounding.
Yeah. So it's been a beacon of is that the word? Beacon of hope for Africa.
Right.
So it's like let's say Stephanie has found an oil field in Somalia.
That would be amazing.
Throwing it out in the universe, right? So let's say Stephanie has found an oil field in Somalia, right?
Right.
You're not
going with it.
You're not gonna fly into Somalia. Somalia is dangerous. Somalia is gangster. You know what I'm saying?
I know, with some AR-15s, let's do this.
Shooting down planes and shit. So what you do first?
Yeah.
You fly.
You have to connect local. Yeah. No, absolutely.
You got to set up your
get
stuff.
that fixed through.
That's it. And then you get those little dudes that will take you into Somalia. But they will take you from Nairobi because Nairobi is more peaceful. There's hotels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can have your pina coladas while you think about
it.
You can have your sushi.
Have you been watching me? You've been spying on me.
So that's basically what Nairobi has been.
You already know how I'm living. Yeah, you know what? So that's what's so interesting because, when we were talking together, it's happening all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
What is going on? Literally, right? Isn't that the name of one of the new shows they're starting?
Microsoft is here. Google just set up here. Like everybody's here. Safaricom.
Really?
Here. All these people are trying to come here. They're trying to do business. They like.
What do you think is going on?
So I mean, basically, what's going on? Countries are becoming more cheaper. No. Countries are becoming more peaceful. So like there's more like even Somalia, they've kind of sorted out the situation. Those pirates have kind of been taken out the sea. It's becoming more like all those meetings are happening here in Nairobi. All those meetings, like remember?
Do you think that this part of it is the COVID? Is there's a lull in the conflicts on some level because everybody's at the house?
No, but that was also already happening. That just before, like a year, we weren't hearing too much about the pirates because there was talks going on.
No, that's true. Yeah.
There was a lot of peace talks, and a lot of those talks happening in Nairobi. So even the Congo, whatever, when they have peace, they happen here. Even Sudan.
Right.
Sudan had the war. The peace talks were happening in Nairobi. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like there was just more wealth. The middle class is growing, the population is growing. The population of Africa is growing. Like the youth are the number one. You come outside, you go outside your house, mad people, just people.
Yeah.
And many of those people are young. and they're
Right.
hungry. They want clothes, they want shoes, they want food, they want whatever.
Mm.
So if you, for the last couple of years, if you into fast selling goods, you're a billionaire.
Mm.
You're a billionaire in
Mm.
Africa. If you're into transportation, if you're into anything, like if you're into anything that you can produce mass, you're a billionaire.
Right.
If you
Wow. Yeah.
people are consuming. What do people do? You know?
Well, that's what I was wondering. So, is the buying power actually increasing
Yeah.
in Kenya? It
Yeah.
is.
People are consuming all types of household goods because you remember Africa doesn't produce much. We don't have.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Nairobi has some sort of semblance of industry, but a lot of the shit
Mm.
really is coming from America, China,
Right.
England, you know,
Right.
all this stuff is
Yeah.
coming. So as that
Right.
grows, the entertainment also grows because people have money, they want to go out. People have money, they want to go drink, they want to go do this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Of
now
course, like everybody else.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that now
Yeah.
we start making deals with now the venues are becoming even more so because we've encouraged the venues to start dealing with artists. So now there's like one street with like 15 bars, all with different artists. There's karaoke
Mm.
here, there's hip hop here, there's reggae here, there's DJs here. So now
Yeah.
the scene is growing whereby people can actually make an income off the entertainment business. We
Yeah,
started
that's interesting.
we made that proper. We professionalized the engagement between corporate and artists because there was no
Mm.
engagement. The artists are like, ah man, I don't like talking to those guys. They talk too much poor shit.
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I'll be the intermediary because I go from streets to corporate quick. You know what I mean?
You have to though. You have to be able
A lot
to.
of artists
Yeah.
didn't do that. They didn't know
And
about
and I think we're seeing that again, aren't we? Like,
Yeah.
don't you? There's another cultural shift happening, right? Where that now people maybe had wrapped their heads around having to have those type of professional structures and conversations, and now it's like, okay, we're going to add the digital space to
Yeah.
that. Now you
Yeah.
got to be able to do all of that
Yes.
online.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going in Kenya?
So just the little stories. So things start exploding. You know, things start exploding, and things are exploding all over Africa. You know, so South Africa's exploding, Nigeria is exploding,
Yeah.
Ghana is exploding. So all these scenes, the big TV shows, MTV Base is coming to
Mm.
Kenya. You got Channel O, all Trace TV, all these companies from France and whatever are investing in
Mm.
Africa because the entertainment's starting to buzz off. You know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're sorting out the copyright issue with Music Copyright Society of Kenya. We're sorting out these. So artists are starting to get money. They're starting to build houses.
Right.
They're starting to have babies. People are growing.
It's all that infrastructure that has to get put in place, right?
All happening as we go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I got into Coca-Cola because then they were like, yo, we got to create a TV show that brings Africa together. And in Nairobi, they were like, can we do it? So, and they're like, we got to deal with you because you know all the artists, you know? So I know
Right.
artists.
Yeah.
Through my work, I've just been going all over Africa. So,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
so one of the biggest projects I did, it was actually funded by the British Council. The British Council is this big organization that has lots of money and they just
Right.
do cultural activities, you know? So they gave me, I think, £400,000.
Mm.
Well, not to me directly, but they gave this
No,
part.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
The throne
part-
event. Yeah.
And we basically, our job was to educate artists at that time, educate artists about their business, how to set up bank accounts, how to, you know, what they were saying is the creative economy in the UK has made major strides. The creative economy in the UK is worth more than the London Stock Exchange.
Really?
Yeah, way more.
Wow. I
But
don't
it-
think people know that. I didn't know
but it-
that. Wow.
Because it's informal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it goes. The London Stock Exchange, they put money in one place.
Right.
The creative economy, they don't put money in one place. Money's all over the place.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
constantly
Boy George
moving.
over there, or whatever. This guy over here, or Blur over here. They're making their money.
No, for sure. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of that the last couple of years about these
That's it.
informal markets that
Right.
are now starting to overtake the traditional markets, for
So
sure.
the British Council, in their guilt because of colonizing us, and I always use that. Remember, I told you got to play the
Yeah.
scenario. So I went to them. I was like, "Yo, you guys, what do you guys do for our culture? You guys,
Right.
Because you know, as you grow up, as you start blowing up, they start inviting you over.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you know, I was around those circles. I would meet the guys like, man, don't you guys ever feel guilty about colonization? They're like, please.
Right.
these are very touchy subjects. What are you up to? I was like, what do you want? I was
But
like,
it's a real question.
He's
But
like,
it's a
give me
real
money,
question.
give me some money to improve the creative economy in Kenya. Luckily, it was
100%.
it was a great guy, Dave. I'll never forget him. His name is David Higgs, old British guy that was running the organization at the time. Really hipster, really hippie. You know those old hippies?
Yeah.
They
Yes.
got a lot of money.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, he directly talks to the queen. You know what I mean? So I was like, man.
Wow, really?
And he's worked in Africa. He's worked in Nigeria. He's worked in Zimbabwe. So for me, it's like talking to my grandfather, you know. But I was like, man, David, come on, what can you do for us? He's like, man, come see me. Come see me. What would you like to do? Put together a document that put together the arts as an education platform. So we put this thing together. Well, not just me. It was a bunch of different artists that he was talking to, but I really knew where I wanted to go. I was like, I know exactly where I want to go with this. You know, I want to take it all over Africa, not just do it in one country.
Yeah.
So they finally gave the money. They gave the go ahead, and basically this platform was to educate artists about art as a business. Art is not just about making art. How do you make art?
Right.
You want to be successful. You want to get out of poverty. You want to stop living in the past. You have to plan yourself well. So they supported. They gave all the money. They flew in people from different countries. They could have flown you in if the project was still going on. If you find somebody that's a good orator or whatever, they were flying in people from London. We brought Dead Prez. We even brought Dead Prez to Kenya.
Right. Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah, we brought them from New York. They gave the money. So we're like, oh yeah, finally. And so now we're setting up these scenarios where the artist is doing well, the scene is happening, the underground scene that was never there in Nairobi, that's there, but people are rapping in their homes. There's no scene.
Right.
So we're creating a scene. Now we're creating a scene where it's not just artists in Nairobi. We're bringing in artists from New York. We're bringing in artists from London. We're bringing in artists from LA. So we're creating a platform where not only can I go see my fellow Kenyan artists, my fellow South African artists, I can also see American artists. You understand?
Right.
So
yes.
That's where we started now. Now that's when really my name's really blew up. They're like,
yeah, I bet.
Because
they're like, how are you doing this? Because no one tried before, basically, right?
Don't think like that. Most people just think of entertainment. Those guys are. I'm like, yo, this is a business, and if you want to do business, you got to connect with the global economy. You can't just be doing. You can't just be on this little corner in East Africa. You got to. My friends are all over the world. You know, got friends in LA. I got friends in whatever. Right. I'm like, yo, let's get that Prez here because they be singing.
So there was something about your ability, you know, because you had the fortune to be able to travel and see all these other places.
Yeah.
You were able to figure out how to pull that together and then express that to local people.
I was in New York in the early '90s, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what was going on? I was like, why can't we replicate that here? It's not like they're not that special. I mean, it's creativity, right? Let's do it. People are like, people are like, I never thought we could do that. People say, I never thought Dead Prez would come to Kenya. I'm like, okay, now we do it now. So we the dream makers. We make your dreams come true.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, hip hop and street art and the fashion culture, street culture has gone through that same trajectory in New York as well. You know, I think they just, again, it's a population and infrastructure thing.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people and there's a ton of, we had a bit more of a baseline of an infrastructure. But I mean, hip hop started out people banging on cans and, you know, drum, you know what I mean? Like household good things you could just find at the house. Like people didn't have machines and mixers and they didn't start out that way, you know. And graph, that was the same thing. They were just found readily available paint and we were like, we're gonna start making a name for ourselves. We're gonna so it's kind of a wonderful trajectory because there is a lot of hope in it, because you can look and see like everybody starts out from that very authentic and very you know, ground level place. And you have to work your way forward. If you have people like you that are really focused and motivated, and it's amazing.
Yeah. So that's basically what we did. We awoke the giant in Nairobi, and Nairobi started now becoming, because people were only just looking at Nairobi as a tourist destination. So all about tourism, the government tourism, I'm like, yo,
safaris.
not all of us want to go see animals. Not all of us, you know what I mean?
Right.
You can't box people in one dimension. People are
Some of us want them pina coladas.
yeah, people are multi-dimensional. Some people just want to chill. Some
Yeah.
people listen to poetry. Some
Right.
people listen. So I went to just building these little platforms. I built the first spoken word platform in Kenya called Slam Africa. It's the biggest platform where poets would come and meet in one place, and the poetry thing is exploding. Hip hop is exploding. Karaoke is exploding. So all these things are exploding at the same time, and companies are starting to do to sponsorship because it's now becoming more organized.
Right.
You know, these companies, they don't like disorganization. They want
they don't know how to Well, because everything, it's like time is money, you know, and if they feel like you're gonna take too long or be too they're gonna pull out.
So now I become the token the token person that they go to when they trying to engage artists, you know, like point blank. I'm his agent, for example. I get him gigs, you know. Now he's become a big name. He's doing it on himself. But for the longest time, I was the one. Like if Sprite is doing something, they'll be like, "Yo, we're looking for such and such." I'll be like, "Cool, we create the platform for you. Let's do this." Created mad different platforms for different companies, even for the U.S. Embassy. You know, I got money from them. I got money from So we started doing these things, and remember, it's a trajectory. So it's going slow by slow by slow by slow by slow. It's building. When Coke Studio happened, that was like
we were like, that was it. We are here.
Like we doing things on the continent. We're not even just doing things in Kenya. Like I'm way ahead of Kenya. Like I'm not doing things just in Kenya. Like I just got off a call from an old music executive in Ghana. You know, we're doing stuff in the States. We're going back and forth. I'm bringing artists to South by. You know what I mean? So the music is going to build up where we're building now.
Right.
Artists like Burna Boy, who's now blowing up in the States, I booked him in Kenya like 5, 6, 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You probably helped create him.
So we're building all these big in Nigeria, whatever. I was dealing with them when they were nobodies. You know?
That's amazing.
That's where I've come from, and up until the COVID era, where things have kind of now changing the way they look at this culture.
But it sounds like you just have this really unique vision, and that's one of my things is like, what is motivating you? What is motivating you so much, and how are you staying motivated during this time that's so, I mean, it's very bleak for a lot of people.
Man, I've always wanted to I love seeing people happy, you know? I love seeing people, especially artists. I love seeing an artist's face when he gets his first amount of money. He's like, "Oh my God!"
Right.
Like when I gave ask Point Blank our story. When I told Point Blank, you can get money with this, huh? He was like, "Nah, I just do this for fun." I was like, here's $1,000.
Right.
Never seen. He was like, "What? I can earn money." I love seeing that. I love seeing people like, wow, actually somebody. I love seeing appreciation. I love artists being able to earn from their craft. I love that, you know. And I grew up in a family where we were told, you can only live one way. So it was always my onus to say, no, man, I can actually make a living with these things that you think are dreams. When I was younger, going around, living in Europe, my biggest thing is I always wanted to own a record store.
Oh, really?
That was my dream. I was like, man, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a record store and I'm going to live on top of it. So downstairs,
that's awesome.
I'm going to live up. That was my dream. So, obviously, I'm glad I didn't hold on to it because I would have been broke right now because it's digital.
Right.
Well,
no, it sounds like you would have figured out how to transform that into something new.
That's it. I can't live on top of internet, right? Can I? So... So my whole dream was always to be in the music business, and one way or another, either as a writer, either as a promoter, either as an A&R. The only sad thing is because the record industry has not been formalized well, the record labels have been late to come into Kenya. The industry has not been formalized. People are making money, but they're not making money in a formal way. You understand?
Yeah, I think that is still a bit of a hole, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
it's
bit
a
of
big
a
hole.
black hole.
That's really let down. Even,
Yeah,
even in the new streaming era and the digital era,
right.
yeah, people are watching videos. People are, there's a lot of YouTube happening. It's a lot of content. But how do you put it together so that you can say, okay, cool, this is how much we are worth?
Yes, right.
That's been slow. Now, it's not slow because the industry's slow. It's slow because some people don't want it to happen.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, the pirates. The pirates are so yeah, so there's a
Not the Somali pirates.
no, not the music pirates. These are the content pirates. So the
Right,
content
okay.
pirates have been pirating content for such a long time. DVDs, CDs, all that.
Aha, that's a whole nother game that people aren't thinking about.
They're billionaires. I mean, you could
Wow.
release a song, you release an album today. By evening, it's in another city, and you haven't even been there. You haven't
Right.
even talked to nobody. So you're like, okay, so how did my music reach there? So they're taking
Right.
a lot from the artists. Those people have been in the opposition for the digitization of the music industry and the content industry, because they're like, yo, where are we gonna make our money? Get what I'm saying?
Wow.
They're playing political games, and they're a big monster.
But so don't you think that the digital space, I mean, it is a huge culture change, and that's one of the things is to try to help younger people understand how to maximize that space.
Yeah.
But don't you think that then helps them cut out those middlemen and control it themselves?
Listen, you're never gonna fight a bunch of people with a lot of money. You're not gonna win. If they're crooked, a bunch of people who are crooked and they have money,
well,
you got a problem.
That's the global
You see what I mean?
economy right now.
Yeah. They have money, so they can buy anything. They can create any sort of, they can
Most
create any
definitely.
sort of narrative. They can, you know what I mean? They can shit the whole world. They can, first they got that.
Absolutely.
Number two, they're crooks, so they know how to move. It's like trying to fight with a shark in the water, and the shark knows the water better than you.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
You might be a little fast, but that's it's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I always tell people that. I'm like, as evil as you think, like, other people have had, a couple hundred years of perfecting and working in these evil spaces. You will never, ever be as crooked as there. You will never, ever catch up.
They know how to, they own the journalists, they own the money, they own,
right.
They can change stories, they can change your direction of narratives. They can, dude, you could even start talking about some shit, and then all of a sudden, this crazy story about the moon and whatever, people shift, like people all of a sudden, like, what are you talking about, man? People,
right.
Talking about this other shit. What are you on?
That's some misinformation stuff right there.
So those guys kind of hold the artists, because they're like, okay, so that's talking about digital, but what's he giving you? I have $1 million shillings here for you. Come pick it up tomorrow. So tell me where that artist is gonna go. He's gonna listen to this Blaze, who's talking about dreams and future, or you're gonna come to me. Or the only way that's gonna change is if you give them a cut, and basically they have to be like, oh yeah, I'm part of this.
Right. Yes.
And those conversations take long because they're monopoly. They love to monopolize. They're more into monopoly. They're like, nah, I'm not just gonna let you run. I'm not gonna let you just make all the money. I want to be part of this. And if they want to be part of it, they're taking the biggest chunk.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, so that's what's been going on. So even as much as the world has digitized, the companies are very, very, very anti, because they know that this is going to change the way they do business. This is going to bring, just like it happened in America. The minute the digital companies started blowing up, that's when you started having the new millionaires who think that.
Oh, absolutely.
Mike Zuckerberg and Amazon. These are different type of millionaires. So they think different.
Yeah.
Because they're coming in with a different way of operation. It's more younger. It's more revolutionary. It changes things. That's when now the big leaders are scared of these guys.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So what about the people though? What do you think? Like people on the ground, your average person, your average artist. what do they understand about the digital space over there and this whole competition that we're talking about? Because I think, you know, if you have a mass of people that can take the internet and take digital tools into their own hands, at some point the balance has to shift, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely will have to shift. It definitely will have to shift. It will have to shift.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How can we, how are people taking hold of that opportunity now in Kenya?
I mean, Kenya has always been ahead of other African countries.
Mm,
There's always been a great, the internet really blew up here. Kenya is number one country when it comes to mobile payments. We embraced
right.
M-Pesa, which is one of the big
Yes.
payment
Yeah.
platforms all over the world. I
Right.
mean, we laugh at MoneyGram, and those money, close your shops. We're not nobody's walking anywhere.
Yeah.
Money,
Right. Okay.
that's the
Right.
old school.
Especially not under COVID.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kenya never really closed down. People are moving around, but the
Mm,
thing is,
mm.
that's a waste of time. Kenya was already ahead of this, because you know what happened with the M-Pesa. Do you know the story about M-Pesa?
I'm not sure.
So you got the people called the Maasai. They're like real
Yes.
warrior type people. They
Right.
cut their ears, and they live in the mountains.
Yeah.
So they're like, man, I hate that big city. I don't like going to that big city.
Right.
But they own all the cattle.
Right.
So they need to sell the cattle for the people in the city to eat meat.
Right. Yeah.
So every morning they come to the city with these big lorries,
Yeah.
trucks full of cows, full of cattle. They take it to the meat packing district or the meat farmers or whatever, those people that cut the meat, the abattoir,
Right.
and then they get their money, and then they drive back to the villages.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, man, I don't even want to go to the city.
Right.
I just want
I don't even want to go over
I
there.
just want to be here with my 4 wives. I'm chilling.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm over here. I got 4 wives. I got big, they call it the boma. I've got 4 houses I can move around. I don't want to be going to no city. I don't want to be no city. I don't want to be in the city. I hate it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Tesla started working that way, because it was like, oh yeah, the guy can collect your cattle. You can send a driver with the cattle.
Mm.
The cattle reach to the abattoir. The guy sends you the money without you ever having to move.
Right. Yeah.
Boom. It
Right.
worked. People are like, oh snap,
Yeah.
I don't gotta go nowhere. I'm chilling. I'm gonna
Right.
go.
Hell yeah. We're
I'll go when I feel like, but I don't want to be compelled to go.
right.
You know?
Exactly.
So like, you get so used to it, you're like, yo, that's how people move around. So one time I'm in New York, like a few years ago, my friend is like, yo man, do you have $100 on you? I'm like, yeah, I have it. How can I send it to you? He's like, oh, I need it now.
Right.
I'm like, yo, I'm in
Right.
Brooklyn, you're in Harlem. I'm not trying to wait for you for 2 hours to get here. Can you imagine? This Western world is backward.
Right.
A friend of mine wanted $100 in Nairobi. All I have to do is like, what's your M-Pesa number? In fact,
Right.
just the number you called me on, I just copy it and put it in this app and send you $100. I'm gonna talk to you.
Right.
Paying me. I don't want to be talking to you. I don't want to see you. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about the digital world, yeah, digital took over.
Yeah. There are certain things that really took root in Nairobi, and probably not just in Nairobi,
But
around Africa,
but
because it was out of necessity and it made sense to
There
people.
you
Yeah.
go. We got problems. We got bad roads. People don't want to be
Right.
on the road. Remember, the reason why the mobile phone took over Africa so bad is because there were no what do you call it? The telephone was really bad.
Mm,
The landline,
mm,
it was bad. The telecom company mismanaged the landlines.
mm,
And there were no phone booths. There were no, so
mm.
you couldn't make calls. So when the mobile came, oh my Lord.
It's so interesting because at some point it's like Africa is almost jumping over a whole step in the
Oh,
trajectory,
yeah.
where, like in America, we spent, about 50 to 80 years in like the first industrial era, like
There you
building
go.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now you can see we're kind of suffering because we're just spending all of our money trying to maintain all these old models.
Can you imagine?
And
Can
and we're our innovation is actually slowing down,
Post office, like what? I'm in America. I'm like, you guys still have post office? We ain't got no post office.
Right.
What do you need?
Yeah,
post office for?
post office,
I
like
order food.
terrible,
I order
terrible
food from
trains,
my house.
terrible
Everything comes
airplanes.
to my house. Everything can be delivered to my house. Why I need to go to the post office?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
I need
I
to,
mean, I feel bad for the postal workers
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
me too. But
actually
I'm just like,
like a conversation that's been
I'm just
happening
like,
now
oh my
since
lord,
COVID
you guys still
because
have
they're
post.
like, we might shut it down.
Yep,
Yeah, we might
yep.
shut it
I
down.
mean, stuff like, right now, I can get on the phone. Like, if you want to send me money now, you just get on an app called
Oh
WaveSend.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
WaveSend that
yeah.
was created by an African living in America. You can send me. I could be talking to you, and my brother, he's out in Detroit and all. A situation could happen here in Nairobi, right? And in 2 minutes, he could have sent the money already. He'd be like, yo, please
Right.
get that for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's that quick. And
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these
Yeah. Yeah.
innovations are coming from Africa.
That is going to happen
There
for
you go.
sure.
They're coming out of necessity, but they end up being very, 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 very ahead of the time.
So here's where my question, because we've already demonstrated that there's the ability to jump ahead over there because you guys are not so deeply rooted into these old models of infrastructure. So
Yeah.
you have that flexibility to jump ahead. You have that natural interest in convenience and like things that make sense and kind of the ability to communicate.
Yeah.
So what are going to be the challenges for African civil society people to take advantage of this next digital jump? Because as you said, these companies are now coming in, right? And you see all these big entertainment companies, they want to come and it's monopolies basically.
Yeah.
What's your advice on that whole space where there's an opportunity here? How do they not lose out on that?
So at the moment, it's just about being ready. I just tell everybody, stay ready because they're coming. So you need to be out there. You need to be visible. You need to be, you need to be visible. You need to be ready because they're coming. Oprah's coming. All these people are coming. So when they come, you need to be ready. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just telling everybody, get ready, get your resumes up, get your platforms up, build your own platforms.
And so, I mean, are you saying, because my whole thing is if you guys are able to jump ahead and get a head start with normalizing digital business and digital opportunities, do you need Oprah?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you see, money begets money, right? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, even I remember when the digital space, all the big digital spaces now are owned by the same people that have been making money for years.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So already either the companies here are already also occupied. So basically what's going to happen now is partner up with the rich people in your community.
Right.
So by the time they get here, they got to go through these rich people that are already here. So that's what I'm saying. Position yourself. I'd say, artists, position yourself around the rich communities in your spaces. You know what I mean? But you build something so solid, but by the time they're coming here, they have no choice but to make a deal with you guys.
I see what you mean. Right. You know what I mean? So position yourself as a critical piece in that puzzle and in that space that you have a voice and you want to be invited into that conversation.
Yes. Like you have no choice but to negotiate with me because I'm the one here. I'm the one that's been building. You want to enter this space, you must definitely have to talk to me.
What are the type of challenges you foresee though for some of these local artists and local business people in your area? What are some of the challenges and gaps they have to fill to be able to be a dominant part of that market and be invited to those conversations? Are there still some things that, like a checklist of things those guys really need to get together?
Oh yeah. So obviously monetization is going to be a big thing. How do you monetize? You see, America's perfecting monetization, you know?
Well, it's capitalism, right?
Capitalism. So it's like
we will sell anything if it stops long enough, you know? Yeah. So, don't slow down because we will sell your ass.
The streaming thing is amazing. It's like the fact that artists can monetize. I mean, just the fact that they figured it out. They figured out how to monetize from streams. That's the biggest. That hasn't reached yet. There's no major monetization. There's
Mm,
digital activity happening, but
mm,
we haven't cracked streaming. That hasn't really sold here yet.
right.
It's happening, but America has perfected it. So some way or another, we're gonna need the expertise of either Africans coming back or Africans who work in these labels or whatever to come back
Okay,
here
interesting.
and lay it out or teach how to do it, because it's definitely not
Right.
happening on the scale that it needs to be happening.
Right. I think is that I always talk about the access issues.
Yeah,
I think that's maybe still partially an infrastructure issue, right? Where maybe people don't have available internet bandwidth or the proper laptops,
Yeah.
you know, microphone, you know, the just even the basic kit that you and I have, I think is
I'll give you
still
an
not
example, right?
normal, right?
I'll give you an example, right? An 18-year-old kid going to college in New York, right?
Yeah.
He wants an iPhone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What does he do?
Nothing.
He just goes to the iPhone store, right?
He uses his expensive iPhone to like set selfies on Instagram.
There you go. But what does he do? He just goes to T-Mobile, signs a little contract, and he gets an iPhone.
Oh, yeah, right.
You don't have those kind of deals in Africa. You got to buy the whole
Okay.
iPhone. If the iPhone's $1,000, you paying the whole $1,000, dog.
Ah,
What else
really?
you
Is
got?
that what's going on? I was wondering why they hadn't taken off over there.
Because you got to
Okay.
buy the whole phone. We don't have that.
No, yeah, there's no
Credit
network system.
system is not as well developed now.
I see.
Credit, America's perfected credit. You understand? Everybody's home has an address. You can't run away. As soon as
Definitely have got that one
they know how
down.
to catch
You
you.
can't get away from
Say
it.
your name, be like,
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
I know where she is right now. We don't have that here. I can hide for 5 years.
Mm.
Nobody knows where I'm at. You know?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I never have to talk to the government. I could be unregistered for all I know. So there's
That's awesome.
people living under the radar.
Well, that sounds pretty enticing, to be honest.
There's people that just eat off the farm. Nobody.
But that would be a barrier to a successful marketplace.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of people
Right.
that are like, nah, I don't want to register anything. I don't want none of that shit. Nah. I'm not putting my name on anything. Nah. Why you asking me so many questions? Why you asking me so many questions? Nah.
So at some point, the Kenyan government needs to, you know, maybe look within and say, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we willing to change in order to build a marketplace here? You know,
Yeah.
so if it's
But
like
they tried.
a trust
They tried
issue.
They try to get a national security number. Hey, people are like, no. You're like,
That's so interesting.
they're like the questions they had. I was like, man, you guys are doing it wrong. The way I would have done it. So they rolled it out last year, and people were so opposed to it. They're like, no, this is the mark of the devil.
Really?
They were like, no, this is Illuminati.
Interesting.
So they're asking me like,
Okay.
how many cows do you have? How many cars do you have? They're like, man, why do you want to know so much?
Sure. Why do you want to know so much?
So the way they should have done it, I was like, you guys are stupid. But that's what we have the brains. Unless you hire me to come fucking to teach you how to do this, I would have just did it with every new child that's born.
Mm.
That's how you do it. So the child is born, and that's all they know. But see, the problem is they try to roll out. They try to get grown people who are living in a certain way to go register. I was like,
That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I registered because I understand social.
And they can't compel them to do it. You
can't compel them because it's not supposed to be. It's not mandatory.
Right. There's no, and even if it was, I would imagine there's no system in place to enforce it.
They're like, tell us why we should do this. So people just refuse to go. That campaign died.
I love that. I love that. I do love that. Like whenever I visit in East Africa, you sense that there's such a sense of autonomy, you know, that we just don't have here.
I ain't telling you nothing. I ain't giving you nothing. I'm not telling you. Nah, man. So sometimes, one time I went to the slums, and we got the craziest slums here. So you think?
Yeah.
And I went in to meet this guy, and he had things were out. I'm like, what? Just in the slums? You know, from outside, but he's inside. He's chilling like a king. He's like,
he's hiding out.
He don't pay no taxes. He don't pay taxes to the council. He don't pay tax. He's like, I'm living out here nice.
Yeah. Right. He's hiding
You know?
out.
So there's a lot of people that try to avoid. So as much as the younger people are, yeah, we want this digital shit. You're just not enough. You're not enough to create
So what do you imagine an informal digital marketplace being successful in Kenya, maybe?
informal.
Informal. Like, do you like where pirating is no longer pirating, but becomes the normal marketplace,
Yeah,
and
the
every
black market.
barrier
Yeah,
the
black market,
barrier to access drops,
the
and
dark
then
web.
everybody.
The dark web.
No, I don't even mean the dark web, but I just mean, like you're saying, like these informal marketplaces, like you go to the slums and some of these other areas, or even like you go to camps, refugee, like they have informal marketplaces because they're just,
Yeah.
they're so shut
Yeah.
out of it. So they make their own business cultures,
Yeah.
and there's
Those-
money, informal money markets. So I would imagine those people could get into the digital space and I just think it's interesting, and maybe in a place like Kenya or East Africa where an informal marketplace could become the norm and maybe
Yeah.
take over these
The only
other
problem is when
American style models, because that's going to take forever to set up, and there's not a culture for it, like you're saying. So it'd just be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what
only
kind of
problem-
innovative stuff comes up.
The only problem with those kind of things is that the minute they become popular, they get shut down.
Who shuts it down?
The government.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
The government has the keys to the so like,
Right,
for example, the Kenya Ministry of Communications owns the
Right.
internet.
Right, sure. Okay.
So,
Huh.
you could be a blogger talking shit. Oh, they'll find you. We know where you are.
Well, now especially, that's my
That's
big
it.
thing,
Especially
right?
if you start
The
becoming big. If you
is
start
the
becoming
technology.
if you start becoming too big, so there's a blogger that's actually in jail today, who was arrested last night.
Oh, I believe it. Really, last night?
He put out a story, and then he put out another story. So you can put out, it's fairly free. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want.
You can do what you want, but we're gonna do what we want.
The
We're
minute
gonna
you
snatch you up.
start targeting one of their own,
Yeah, no.
like, hey,
no.
you talking about celebrities? That's cool. You talk about this? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
So he posted a picture of a governor,
Mm.
and they're like, "How the fuck did you get that picture?" You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that's ballsy to begin with. Like, why did you?
You're spying on us, or what's going on? What's happening? We got to
Wow.
investigate this guy. Like, I don't even think that. I don't think they're arresting him to arrest him, to muzzle him. They're arresting him to find out, like, yo, you could work for us. You should be working for us with these kind of skills, you know?
Oh my goodness, that's so
That's what they
funny.
usually do. They get those people, they get anybody with a great skill, and they turn them over to the other side. They're like, yo, you should be working for us. That's what they do. That's what
Right.
they do every year.
Mm.
They're like, yo, you
Wow.
got mad investigative skills. You
Right.
should
So
work.
rather than oppression, they just cause opportunities, and
Yeah, they're like, yo, listen, why don't you head this department?
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Then they just give you a job. That's how it works over here. So do you know how I used to work? Do you know how I ended up working at the one of the biggest advertising firms in Kenya?
No.
I used to laugh at all their ads. I used to be like,
That's it.
who shot this? Who shot this shit? Who did it? What
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, we gotta find this guy. Please come work. I used to laugh at all their ads.
Right.
That's it's called creating a scenario.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You basically shamed them into hiring you.
Yeah. Basically,
awesome.
I didn't know I was doing that. I wasn't doing that. I was doing what I do. I was laughing at them.
I get it. You didn't do it on purpose, but it worked.
Yeah, I was being the guy that's laughing at them. They're like, man, we need him because he's getting a lot of people to laugh at us.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how they stop you. That's how they they put you on $4,000-$5,000 a month. They get your health insurance. You're like, yo, this is nice. I'm gonna laugh at you again. I guess it should still funny. I'm gonna laugh in my house.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, then they hire us to start improving how they do this. You know what I mean? So so when a campaign comes in, I'm the guy that's always there. Like, what do you think, Blaze? How do we do this?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, at some point, it just is good business for them to release some of the control, because it's going to stagnate the marketplace, right? That's what capitalism is. And I'm not saying I'm not a capitalist, I'm not pro capitalist, but like at some point it's just common sense. Like you have all of these innovative people, they're not harnessing their human capital very well if they're just like, no, we're going to control it, we're going to keep only 3 people in control of this entire industry. And like it just it squashes all that innovation that could take place and opportunity that can take place.
Yes.
So that, I mean, it's so awesome to hear you have such a long background, getting all the history and understanding the depths of like what's the context over there. And I mean, it's going to be super interesting to see what happens in the next year or so with all this new. I mean, there really is a resurgence of interest in what's happening in Africa. And I'm really interested to see where that goes. Good. I want to, because my whole thing and the whole 2050 thing is we just want, we're more interested in a global teamwork situation. So it's not so much about Africa, but it includes a lot of Africans. And I'm on your end of that. Like, I just think people have to be educated, and they need that the motivation and the education and the help with the scenario building. And I love your motivation. I think it's amazing, and I'm right next to you on that. I'm motivated. I'm ready to like go everywhere and tell everybody. Gotta harness these opportunities for ourselves.
Yeah.
So what's next for you coming up? Anything interesting?
For me, I've got this campaign that I'm doing called Take Back the Mic, which is we're about to launch. We just launched it. It's being done by a friend of mine from San Francisco called Derek Ashong. I think you might know him. He's around the tech. He's a Harvard graduate. He's Ghanaian by descent, but lives in doing really cool shit. So we're just about to launch that. Like I told you, we have a few things happening next week. We have Safaricom TV's launching. They're trying to launch this big project, which we're about to definitely take off. So just a bunch of things happening. So we're just waiting to see what direction is really going, because there's a lot of talk. Like I'm telling you, like everybody is just like, people are starting to wait for the budget. The budgets in Kenya get done every July.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense now.
Just came out. The budgets just came. Every company's like, all right, cool.
Okay, here we go.
We were not trying to talk in May, whatever, because we didn't know. And first, our budgets haven't been revealed. So when we were talking to them in March, in May, they were just like, "Yo, great idea, but we'll talk later."
They didn't have anything. Yeah.
All our money's done anyway. We can't do anything. We can't even take money out. There is no money. Even the money that we have, we already allocated for stuff that we're doing.
Oh, so definitely, right.
So basically, in June, everybody files their taxes, right? And then they announce the budget, like end of June, mid-June, end of June. The government announces the budget of what they're going to be doing. Okay, this money is going to go to COVID. And then July now, the corporations are like, all right, cool. We know what we're doing this year.
Yeah.
That's why last week has just been a flurry of calls and calls.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's awesome.
Now they have the money. And they know that the COVID thing is going to be around for a while. So they figured out how, they know that the digital space is where they need to be, and they want to spend big. So I've had 2 big companies call me, 3 big companies call me in a span of a week.
Right. That's nice. That's awesome.
Like companies that I haven't even talked to in years, because I've just been doing my thing.
Right. Yeah.
So things are starting to move.
You're getting ready to expand.
Yeah, getting ready to expand. So the budgets have been, so August going forward is when now they're going to be like, cool, we're going to be doing this. So we're just waiting to see what that can they take. What is it that they want from me? My name is lingering on all their mouths, but they don't know. They don't. This is the problem with corporations. Like, they usually don't know what they're doing.
Well, right. That's
So a lot of things are usually like, let's try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we'll abandon it. So
right. Okay. Yeah.
I think we're in that stage of like, let's see what happens.
And I know we're trying to get you on a show for our community, working on that. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
which I have to beat down all the big corporations with a stick.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great stuff, and it's good for us. We're gonna keep having you on when we can. And you have space to do whatever show. We're looking forward to anything that you could put out. And if anything, it's just awesome for, keeping us in the loop part
I'm
for
ready.
us.
I love the community that you're building. I love innovative. I love ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I appreciate you coming on the line and, helping represent. And yeah, we're going to look forward to talking to you again soon for sure.
talking to you, I just feel, Steph, that you've done so much. You have a wealth of knowledge. I love your spirit of understanding, like pretty much been all over the world.
Thank you. Right. Yeah.
What you're doing, you're taking that leap of faith. What you're doing is amazing. It takes a lot of courage. Takes a lot of it's crazy organizing people, huh? I deal with people. Crazy putting people on the same page. H.
Right.
In Africa, we say H when something is just
I
too
know.
big.
Yeah.
It's just too big for it's a big task putting people together.
Yes.
And it does happen, but it's still a big task. So,
like you've stayed motivated for 15 years, you know?
I'm
the same way. Like I'm not gonna give up. Like I'm like a pit bull. So if you get a couple of pit bulls at the head of the pack, like we'll be all right.
I gotta stay motivated in this business.
Yeah.
You cannot. I remember when even when COVID started, everybody was getting all depressed, and I was like, no, this is the time to think. This is the time to get in your spiritual realm. This is the time to do whatever best. If you're doing yoga, go deeper. If you're praying, pray. If you're gonna read. This is the time to think. This is not the time to
go deep.
This is not the time to this is not the time to feel sorry for yourself. This is the time to shine. Everybody that's shining through this period is going to be the leader for the next generation. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I love it.
People that changed, instead of getting gloomy, whatever, the people that got more, the people that started giving out more information, those are the people that people are following. The people that were giving out how to cope, the great spiritual leaders, the people that have stayed steadfast in leading a community of happy people. That's going to be the leader for the new generation, not the people who led people to gloom, not the people who are talking about COVID all the time. It's already here. I want to hear more. Well, how much more can I hear about it? Like, I don't want to hear about it. I'm already scared. How more scared can I be? So I don't want to hear people. I don't want to be in touch with people who are spreading the gloom. I want to be in touch with people who are spreading the vibes.
Right.
I want the vibe. I don't want the gloom.
Yeah, we're not dead yet,
Yep, we're not dead yet.
And there's so much personal integrity and power harnessed inside of all of us that, if we touch hands, then I know that it's like that Voltron effect.
Yeah. Like you're getting ready, the fact that I'm talking to you, because I'm like, man, this is somebody who is ready. He is somebody who is ready. I want to be around a group of people that are ready,
Right. Yeah. No, we're
not a group of people that are waiting to see what will happen. These are people that are like, okay, you guys are in
we're ahead. We're way ahead. It's a matter of slowing down just enough so that people can come on board. Because I know you guys get it, and you're kind of my go-between innovative realm I'm living in my mind, and okay, but what does that mean to these other people? Like, how do we speak in normal sentences? Like, so it's really great to have you guys to kind of put it into a package.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks, please. So good. Thanks everyone for listening, and you will be able to see more programs and shows coming up from some of our artists. We are going to be winding down the Founders Table and let the actual artists in the community showcase their own work and their own stories. Please be sure to subscribe and share. And if you know any artists, it doesn't matter where in the world you're located, shoot them over to us so we can hear their great stories and see what they're doing in their communities. Take care.